Hello everybody and welcome to another review at Drones Visual. Here today we have the second part of the review of the Cheerson CX-22. I intended to be done with this second part long time ago, but due to a lack of time it is only now that I managed to get to it. In this second part I'll cover the camera, gimbal and FPV functionality of this drone or quadcopter, and at the end I'll present you with some footage from the camera of the CX-22. I would like to remind those of you watching my review that it is intended for all audiences, so please, in case you know a lot about this technology, be patient and there's certainly some information you can gather from the video. And in case you enjoy my reviews and find them interesting or useful, please subscribe to my channel and that'll be a lot of support. I will certainly be publishing new reviews about the latest drones that emerge to the market, so stay tuned for more news. And now let's ask the CX-22 whether it is ready to get started with this review. Are you ready, buddy? Let's see what it says. As you can see, the CX-22 seems to be more than eager to start with the review. I have to start somewhere, so I'll do it by talking a little bit about the camera. This camera is able to record at a maximum resolution of 1080p at 30 fps with a bitrate of 14 megabits per second, which is a decent bitrate comparable with cameras like the SJ4000. And here you can see some of the vents, I guess, to cool the circuit of the camera. All the electronic components of the camera are inside this plastic bowl that we can see here. I have not opened it yet, but I'll probably do it later to show you a little bit how it looks like. Now, if we take a look at the surface of the camera, we will initially see this cover made of a white rubber. Apparently its function is to cover some screws, but I have not ventured myself to lift it up. Later we can see the OK or Enter button that will allow us to enter specific options within the menu of the camera, and I will show you that later. The next button is the mode switch, which allows us to switch between video or photo mode or navigate to the camera's menu. And on the rear section there is another rubber cover that could, as I mentioned before, be covering a screw. Let's move now to the other side. Here we can encounter the menu button, which allows to access the menu of the camera, the micro SD card slot. There is a 2 GB micro SD card that comes with the quad, but we can obviously increase that up to 64 gigs. And it's advisable to use obviously a class 10 card. And then here there are some screws. Then is a reset button, which presumably will reset the camera to factory settings. And again, more rubber covers that cover apparently some screws. Now there is a chamber here covered by this rubber that can be easily displaced with the help of a pointy tool to reveal the channels switch for the FPV system in case you would like to transmit the video signal through a different channel than the default. You won't need to do any changes to the channels if you decide to use the stock monitor that comes with the CX-22. Here you can get a closer look at the 2-axis gimbal. The base of the gimbal is made of plastic and the rest is metallic. There was a USB that would allow you to connect the gimbal to a PC, and then the dampening system, which will help to reduce the vibration of the gimbal. The gimbal's brushless motors are held by these 2 screws that can be seen over here. Now let's take a closer look at the connections under the Cheerson CX-22. First you can see the 2 pin connectors. The first pin supplies 12 volt and the second is the ground pin. Then we can see the second connector, which is the signal pins S1 and S2, and then we have the signal pins S3 and S4 on the upper section here. I'll show you now. Here you can see them. The signal cables help control the gimbal and switch between modes like photo and video modes, while the others supply the system with current. Once the drone is powered, the gimbal will self-adjust. Just make sure there aren't any obstacles around it, and otherwise you'll get these classic epileptic seizures. To control the movement of the gimbal, just like with the Cheerson CX-20, we have 2 knobs that will control the pitch and the roll of the gimbal. Simply turn the knob in the desired direction and the gimbal will adjust its position very smoothly. The gimbal is set so it responds very gently to the input from the knobs. All movements are silky smooth and therefore allowing for a better video recording. This could be good news for those of you that are planning to do some nice panning. Even if we move the knobs very fast, we will still get the same smooth response from the gimbal, and I kinda like that. You could also play with the knobs at the same time, creating some chaotic set of movements, although I don't believe many of you will be doing that, but well. This should give you a certain idea about how the gimbal behaves, although the second part will be to check how it handles vibration, and that we will see by the end of the review when we take a closer look at the footage from the quad's camera. The controller of the Cheerson CX-22 comes equipped with an LCD screen that has two antennas capable of receiving a video signal with a frequency of 5.8 GHz, so it doesn't obviously interfere with the transmitting frequency of the quadcopter drone, which is 2.4 GHz. If we move to the lower part of the monitor, we find the channel selector, the buttons that will allow you to navigate through the menu button, and the volume buttons. Here you can get a better look at the channel selector, the navigation, menu, and volume buttons. Here in the lateral section we have an output and an AV input. Then if we move to the rear section, we can see what seems to be either a speaker or a cooling vent on the power button. If we move to the rear lower section of the screen, we will find the battery compartment, and as you can see, the battery seems to be like a 2S battery, and it just uses this GST connector. The dimensions of the battery are around 140 by 37 by 16 millimeters, and although its capacity it is not reading anywhere around, I assume that it is 1600 milliamps, 7.4 volts, but it doesn't say on the battery actually. On the upper section of the LCD monitor we can find the connections for the antennas, and as I mentioned before, they receive a video signal with a frequency of 5.8 GHz. The fact that we can screw and unscrew the antennas facilitates the transportation of the quadcopter. It is also possible to fold these antennas so they don't interfere with other equipment that you might be using, or simply, some people find more comfortable just to fold them also during transportation. At the other end of the monitor we find the DC input for a 12 volt connector. Just be careful with the polarity if you're gonna connect something there. The last thing I would like to mention about the screen is that it comes with this foldable shade, which can be very useful if you intend to use the monitor during daylight, as otherwise it will be very hard to see anything at all on the screen. So even if it's just a piece of plastic, it's a really nice detail that it comes included. If you wish to adjust the position of the screen or just remove it altogether, you can do it by unscrewing this one here. And to remove the support that holds the screen in place, you just have to remove these two screws on the back. Now let's power the screen and let's cover some of the camera settings. Provided the quad is powered, once we turn on the screen we will immediately see the video signal. Now what you can see is my desktop because the CX-22 is on it. And here on the screen you saw the battery and then the timer. And then you'll see the lower icon here that it will indicate us whether the SD card is inserted or not. If we change the position of the mode switch, we can change modes. Now you can see we're in the photo mode. The icon on the left side of the screen indicates photo mode. On the other side of the screen, we can see the resolution of the photos, in this case 16 megapixels. Now let's switch back to video mode. Then we use the same switch and we're back to video mode. And again, if you want to go back to photo mode, you use the same switch and we can sort of alternate in between modes by using this switch. Now this is the switch that will allow us to do a mode switch and will allow us to start recording video or taking photos. If we pull the switch down, it will take a photo, and if the camera is in video mode, instead of taking a photo, it will start recording. If you wish to stop recording, just pull the switch down and the camera will stop recording. And as I mentioned before, pulling the switch up will perform a mode switch and we will alternate between video and photo modes. So basically all the remote control of the camera when it comes to recording and switching modes, it's in this switch that you can see here. Now let's briefly go over the general settings. These settings are divided in three main parts: video settings, photo settings, and system settings, as you can see here in the screen. I want to go cover one by one so you can get a better idea of what the camera offers and what sort of settings you can adjust. So let's get to that now. I apologize, but I ran out of batteries in the LCD monitor of the CX-22, but I will continue using another monitor, and I hope you don't mind, as what I want to show you now are the camera settings and what kind of adjustments you can make, and a little bit about the FPV, so it doesn't really matter what monitor I use. Here we have now the video settings. The first icon of function allows us to adjust the video resolution. Once the option is selected, and you will know because the icon is green, just press the menu button in the camera to change the settings, in this case the resolution of the video, and you can select between 720p at 60 fps or 1080p at 30 fps. It's up to you what kind of resolution you select. If we move then to the next icon to the right is the video loop, and then you can basically record it, turn it on and off, it's up to you. And if we continue, we have the option to record audio or not, and then also the option to include the date in our videos in case we wish to do that, if we want to know when the video was recorded. And then we have the time-lapse option. You can turn it on or off. If you turn it on, you can select between 1, 5 or 10 fps, I believe, and then you can also have it in automatic mode. And then if we continue, the other icon to the right here that has the 0 and a camera, it is basically a timer that would allow you to basically turn the camera on or off in case it's not recording. Then the other two options belong to automatic and white balance. Let's now move to the photo settings, which are here in the middle. Is the icon with the photo camera, and we have selected it now, and then we can change the resolution of the photos. Here is 16 megapixels, but you can select any other resolution. Then we can include the date in our photos, and then if we continue, if you recall, this is the timer, the self-timer. Then we have the burst mode in case we want to take many photos at once, color corrections here, then white balance adjustment, and finally the EV adjustment. And finally then let's go and try to cover the system settings, which is the last icon here you can see to the right. Let's select it, and first we can adjust the date and the language of the system. This is the language, it's in English right now, but you can change it to a few other languages. Then you have the option to auto power off the camera, followed by the frequency. As you can see here, the frequency is 50 Hz. Then you have the option to format the SD card to restore the default settings and some information about the system. And if you press, as you can see, the mode option here, or the mode button in the camera, you will exit this screen. Finally, let's take a look and see the quality of the footage taken with the camera of the Cheerson CX-22. Now I want to point out that the bitrate of the video taken with the camera of the Cheerson CX-22, just as I mentioned before, is 14 megabits per second at 1080p and 30 fps. This is actually as good as an SGA 4000 and similar cameras, which I consider pretty good. Although I find the videos taken, for example, like with the Wakira I Plus, they look kind of better. I have not checked the bitrate of those videos, although initially when I looked at the performance of the Gimbal, I thought it was acceptable, as I thought it was more stable than the G2D that I tried from Wakira that I was using previously on my Cheerson CX-20, but I was told by many people with way more experience than me that the performance of the Gimbal was not good, at least judging by the footage I showed in this video. Now I point out that I did not balance the props before flying, and that could have actually contributed to the lack of performance. I'm looking forward to some other reviews also, see how they talk about the gimbal, and I would like to myself do a little bit of more flying when I have time to check whether I get a better performance if I balance the props and do some other adjustments. You can of course choose a different camera or gimbal for this quad, but many people think that taking into consideration the price, the performance of the gimbal should be better. I will be looking forward, as I mentioned before, to other reviews, see how they talk about the gimbal. It is also my intention to share with you the raw video files, so you can have a better, you can take a better look at the video quality. The current price of the Cheerson CX-22 is around $699, and I think the only shop that has officially started to sell it is Banggood, so you can check it out there. Although some other shops have announced it and say that they will start selling it soon. Now I'll let you enjoy for a while and analyze by yourself the footage taken with the CX-22, so you can see whether you're actually alright with the quality of the recording, or you're definitely looking for something better. I hope this short clip can help a little bit make up your mind. I'm flying right now on a very quiet day, there's no wind or anything, but as I was mentioning before, some people say that the quality of the gimbal was not acceptable due to some vibrations and jello that you might be able to see in the video here. So it also depends a lot about your standards when it comes to this. I don't believe this is a very expensive gimbal, it's probably a rather cheap gimbal, I mean a 2-axis gimbal, but according to these more experienced persons, it is still supposed to be performing better. Now, as I was saying, you can enjoy a little bit more of the footage and reach your own conclusions before I end the video. Now I hope that you enjoyed my review and I hope you found it useful. I would greatly appreciate any feedback so I can improve my reviews. In the third part of the review I will cover some of the flight modes. Although I constantly struggle to find decent areas to fly around here, I promise I'll do that. Thanks for watching and I really hope to see you again. Please leave me some comments and subscribe if you like my review.